Welcome, everybody. This is the weekly on www.equalizersoccer.com. I'm Jeff Kassouf. It's Monday, April 25th. A couple of games this week in WPS. First off, welcome to kind of a different studio. I thought we'd mix it up a little bit. A couple of defunct teams right now. We have LA behind us, FC Gold Pride, mixing up the studio a little bit on the road for Easter. Hope everyone had a nice holiday. A couple games in WPS this weekend. Magic Jack, home opener, season opener after the game got canceled in Philadelphia last week. They opened up with a 1-0 win against the Boston Breakers. Ella Masser coming through in the 26th minute there to give Magic Jack the win. Opening up at FAU, Florida Atlantic University Soccer Stadium. Not the biggest crowd. Certainly some mixed reactions. I think people in Florida were certainly happy with the crowd and the fact that without promotion, so many people turned up, so many people being about 1,200. Obviously, still, the lowest crowd in WPS history. So from that standpoint, it's a bit of a disappointment. But I think that there's definitely a sense of the fact that, there hasn't been much marketing, hasn't been much promotion. And, 1,200, even with that, while it's certainly not the standard WPS has come to expect, it's something, not too bad, considering, all things considered. And we'll see if that kind of grows, if there's some temporary seating that can get added. And obviously some was removed for FAU's spring football game, so that should add to things. And Magic Jack returns home next weekend, so we'll get to see a little bit more of them. And I think, we'll really get to know that team a little bit more when we can see them in person, obviously on an FSC game somewhere on the road, which comes up in a couple of weeks, I believe. And then on Sunday, obviously the big one that I think a lot of people are talking about, Atlanta beat, drawing 2-2 with Western New York down in Atlanta. Flash coming off a big win against the Boston Breakers. And 2-2 draw with Atlanta, certainly not expected. I think that, the beat did really well in the first half, sitting in a 4-5-1, packed to the middle of the field, and really against, almost called them FC Gold Pride, the Western New York Flashes 4-3-3. That two-player advantage in the middle really helped Atlanta. Line of confrontation basically at midfield just really sat in and frustrated the Flash, and that was very visible in the first half. And even though Western New York goes into halftime with a 1-0 lead, definitely you could sense in that second half Atlanta started to gain some momentum. Lori Kolubny with an incredible strike, should be goal of the week, I would imagine. And that makes it 1-1 after Christine Sinclair got that second-minute goal to open it up for the Flash. And then Marta comes in, second half sub, a little bit of a different role for her. She gets the header to put Western New York up 2-1. And then Carly Lloyd pulls a little bit of anything you can do, I can do better on her teammate Lori Kolubny. And she has a wonder strike that beats Ashlyn Harris just under the crossbar. Makes it 2-2. Both keepers come up big in the end. Ashlyn Harris with a big save on Christina Larson's shot in the 78th minute. And then Allie Lipscher coming up twice in the final minutes there, tipping one off the crossbar even. And then obviously she saved a Carolyn Seeger shot from pretty close. So both keepers coming up big. Allie Lipscher maybe even getting a look as two straight players of the week. I don't know. I'd probably lean more towards a Lori Kolubny on that. I think she had a great game, really helped turn that around in the second half for Atlanta. But, a lot of different things have come out of that. Surprising result for the beat. Mainly, I think these two teams meeting again a week from Sunday, or a week from when this game was played. Coming up May 1st, they'll meet again in Rochester. That'll be a big game. I'll be there for you to cover that live. We'll certainly be looking towards that because I think Western New York will have a couple reasons to be inspired. First, certainly an underwhelming performance from them this weekend. And second, they open up their stadium. Should be a pretty good crowd from what we understand. And even if it's not, which I wouldn't expect, it will be their home opener, and they're going to be pumped for that. So big things there. Couple news and notes. I think the most important would be Becky Sauerbrunn keeps the Iron Woman streak alive, played every minute thus far for her club, the 2 years with the Freedom, and obviously they're now Magic Jack. And that's thanks to the postponed game in Philadelphia last week where she wasn't in the starting lineup. So that's kind of an interesting little subplot to that story. And then Western New York, Marta coming in off the bench. Got to see a little bit of how she looks with Sinclair and Morgan. Even though it's a 2-2 draw, I think Atlanta leaves a lot happier with that. You look at what Sinclair and Marta have been able to do on Atlanta's field in KSU Soccer Stadium in the past approximately a year, really. 4 games there at KSU. They've accounted for 8 goals and 4 assists now between the two of them. Really have had their way with the Beats defense. So Sinclair and Marta are really teaming up. We'll see if they can do that next week in Rochester. We've got more written below. You can check that out on the weekly. Obviously, every Tuesday you can check out the weekly recap on SI.com. 5 things that we learned this weekend in WPS action. Till next week, when it will be May, hopefully some better weather. The April showers, May flowers. Not quite seeing it in New York yet, but we'll see. I'm Jeff Kassouf. Thank you for checking out the weekly on EqualizerSoccer.com.